whether when we are live.
We are live.
Oh.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I guess my first question is, I don't know you very well, but one thing I know is that you're in the process of releasing a book.
Mhm.
What's the book about?
Okay, well, it's a book about emotions and how to deal with emotions, but from a child perspective.
Okay.
What I am trying to achieve, or what I want to achieve with this book, is to fulfill a mission, a vision that I feel I have, that is to help kids understand more about what is it about emotions that happens in their bodies while they're feeling it, and in the process help them accept the emotion that's happening regardless of the etiquettes that we give to emotions, right? So
Fantastic.
so one of the things that I have found in my process, in my personal development process, was that it was very hard for me to accept what I was feeling, because we sometimes label certain emotions as good or bad, and then we run from one emotion to the other. And the cure for those uncomfortable emotions is actually going through them and feeling them. So my theory is that if we teach kids to deal with that soon in their lives, then it'll be a lot easier to build emotional strength and resilience in today's world, that it's more and more chaotic as we grow. So the book, it's basically about a lorikeet and a cockatoo, so it's all Australian animals. And it's a journey that the main character, which is a lorikeet, and it's called Laura lorikeet, goes through this journey of understanding the pain that she has on her body, and then she meets this beautiful cockatoo who teach her a song that is meant to be a tool for getting into your body in a way that probably a mindful coach would say that it's pretty awesome, right?
Fantastic.
So that's the short story of the book.
And what does the other character do? The
We only
cockatoo?
have two characters, the lorikeet and the cockatoo.
Okay, what's the angle of the cockatoo?
Okay,
And
the
what does
cockatoo.
the other character do?
We only have two
I'm
characters,
getting
the
sound
lorikeet and the cockatoo.
sound feedback. Can you close the tabs from the browser, please?
That's okay.
Thank you.
So the cockatoo is a nurse. So she's like a healer. She's like the source of knowledge. But I don't want to tell you much about the story, because I want people to just go and find more about it when they buy the book. But it's basically, the cockatoo is like the healer, that shows the bird, the lorikeet, how to heal herself through music, through this song that I can show you later, as well.
Absolutely. What do you know about healing? How do you approach healing in general?
I have a long history of healing myself. I think that's what has given me the credentials to write this story, because I have been dedicating the past 20 years of my life to healing myself, to personal development through psychoanalysts, psychologists, holistic therapies, natural therapies, all sort of therapies, to feel whole, right? To feel good with myself. So I decided to start sharing that journey, not only through these stories that I want to write for kids, because I'm hoping this is the first of many, but also through coaching.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, thank you. Through coaching sessions that I have been doing for the past year.
Okay.
So
what kind of people do you coach?
anyone who wants to and feels the need to feel the need to dance and have some music on, right? So
That's good. I completely forgot about the intro. Okay. Back to the topic.
That was good.
Any people who need to work on themselves, I guess?
Yes, I think I have worked with many people that wanted to just be, let's say, for a session or for two, but the people who have stuck with me or want to be work with me are these people who have this spiritual urge to find meaning of about why am I here for? What's my mission in life? And I want to stop suffering. Really,
Okay.
I want to just stop feeling sorry for myself. I want to be happy, right?
Do you think that searching for happiness is the same thing as searching for an end to suffering?
Buddha would say yes, right?
What would you say?
I would say the same because
Okay.
I, humbly try to follow his steps. But yes, I think that finding happiness is relative to the person who is in the search. And my recommendation is that everyone should experience that on its own, not because anyone tells you to do this or do that to be happy, just like experience happiness. What does happiness means to you? Because depending on your level of development, personal development and experience, right, it would mean something different for everyone. So.
Yes. So what's each person has a different. I'm asking this question because just the last session before you, 3 days ago, we had a purpose coach as a guest.
Beautiful.
So, what do you think, or how do you think? What are the differences between each person's life goals and life purposes? Like, why do everyone has a different life purpose?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Well, I will give you the only answer that I believe in now, and I think that's karma.
Okay.
That is just action reaction. Everyone is different. We have different DNA. Like there's no single person that is equal to the other, right?
Yes.
Like the set of experiences, the places we were born, our ancestors, our history. It's such unique for everyone.
Except for clones.
Exactly. And that makes it, the definition of happiness unique for every individual. And that's why everybody has a different path. And my point in it, I strongly defend this point, it shouldn't be compared. Like your happiness shouldn't be compared to anyone else's happiness because you are the only knower of your own internal, let's say, measurement of happiness, right?
But comparing with others is something that I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
But comparing with others is something that comes natural to
Yes.
most people because it's harder to look at ourselves than to look at others. So
Of
we
course.
see other people around us and we want to like emulate or copy.
Yes.
And
But you know why we look more outside than inside? Because we are disconnected to our feelings and to our sense of being. And going back to my book, that's why I wanted to create this tool to help teach kids to start being connected with themselves as the unique or the principal validator of what they feel. Like sometimes we need to look outside and what am I feeling? I don't know, like I'm lost. I need to just sit and just breathe in front of the sea to see what exactly am I feeling. And so because I never had these tools, like most of my generation never did. I'm 42, by the way, and I grew up in a very, traditional home and a traditional society, and we never spoke about feelings. I was something like, oh no, you just go to school, do math, do literature, be an engineer, become a doctor, have money, be happy, have kids, die. That's it. End of the story, right? We have so much freedom now.
Where did you grow up?
In Venezuela.
Okay.
Yeah, grew up in Venezuela. And so we have so much freedom now that we also get lost with all this stimulus from the outside. And it's always good to go within, and then meditation comes in handy.
With that kind of background, like I know that your previous background was marketing, right?
Yes, and the previous one was engineering.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay, how did you transition from engineering to marketing and from marketing to like spirituality?
Okay, that's a very good question because and going back to why I have written this book, like if I was more connected to my feelings and I was validating what I felt I wanted to be, I would have been an artist.
Okay.
I would have been
what kind of artist?
Maybe a writer or maybe a healer. I like those things. Like I like art and healing are the things that I like the most. So maybe I would have found myself to be a crazy shaman in the Amazon jungle. I don't know, right? But
that'd be cool.
Yeah. But what I did was that I like any other person would follow family's advice, people's advice, and like, I don't know what to be. Oh, you should be this or that because that's, good for the money and it's safe, right? It's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I'll be an engineer because that's close to home. My university was close to home. I could go back home and have lunch and have a nap and then go back to uni. You see, my priorities are very, very clear. So sleeping and eating, that has to
Those
be.
are essential needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense.
I went to uni and I graduated with honors from mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And then I realized,
That's not easy.
no. And I realized I don't want to go and work in the oil industry, which was pretty much the main
specialization.
I guess, employer in Venezuela used to be the oil industry because we're an oil country. So 80% of engineers work in the oil industry, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So it's
like an evil industry as well.
It wasn't evil back then. Like 20 years ago, it was not as evil as it is right now, right? So we didn't know as much as we know now, and it was our main source of income. So
I mean, it's not evil per se, it's just like
but causes, right?
Yeah.
So I decided, I found a job as a trainee in a telecommunication company, and I started working in planning for telecom, so nothing to do with mechanical engineering. So I did learn there from about finances, right? It was more like a financial planning.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, this is not me. I'm not feeling good. After 4 years, I took a test within the company that said that I was empathic, that I was outgoing, that I like connection, that I like people, and it said that I should work in marketing. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. So I moved to marketing.
It gets you closer to people, marketing.
Yes. So I moved to marketing, and then I started feeling a bit more like...
For the same oil company? Or?
No, this was for a telecom company.
Oh, telecom company, yeah.
I didn't want to work for the oil company, remember? So that's when I went to marketing. And from marketing, I went to digital marketing because I wanted to be on top of technology, new trends. And from there, I went to advertising because I wanted to feel more like an artist.
Okay.
And then it was like, okay, I'm done with working for others. I want to work for me, and I want to see what is it that I really want.
So it sounds like that even though you started like a path that was like completely different to what you wanted to do, in the end, you found your way, and navigated into different industry to land exactly where you wanted to be anyway.
That's a good question. That's a good saying, because I have the certainty now that I am on a better path than I was years ago, but I couldn't know back then. Like what I am right now is a reflection of the work that I have done within me to produce something else outside. So I don't know if 5 years from now we will be having this conversation and say, remember, and I was crazy about writing books. Well, that's not what it is anymore. Now I want to be a full healer or whatever, or I'm finally going to the Amazon to be a shaman there. No,
have you ever been to the Amazon?
Yes, I spent a lot of time
Did
there.
you have any experience with shamans?
Yes, as well too. Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
Well, I lived in Peru for 8 years, so that's cool. Like my second home. God bless that beautiful land. So the Amazon accounts for 60% of the Peruvian territory. So every time I had a free time, I went to the jungle, and many times I went to places where there was no signal, where I was in a community just having the basics and just with a book and with a group of healers or people from the area, just enjoying that peaceful and simple way of living. So yes, I have been near shamans, but in that way. I mean, it's not that I have done any course on being a shaman or any of that.
Have you done any experiences in that?
Yeah, with the medicine plant.
Oh, like ayahuasca?
Yeah, ayahuasca. Yes.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it has to be taken with a lot of seriousness.
Okay.
It is a medicine, and it's sacred for the carers of that land. So it has to be approached with a lot of respect. Because
a lot of people that I know, they just don't approach it that way.
No,
they just think, it's DMT. Wrong. It's like a drug.
No, that's wrong.
They end up doing DMT instead.
That's disrespectful to the tradition and to the land and to the plant. And that has consequences as well. Yeah. So,
like taking any drugs or any medicines without, when you don't need it.
Yeah. The way I did it was that I prepared myself for 3 months with diet and meditation to be able to take it. And I was also guided by a woman who was a shaman that came from a tradition of shamans in her family, and the second time was again with someone that actually is well known. He actually appears in a documentary in Netflix. It's called The Last Shaman.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it with him as well. He was very respected. That's as
cool.
well. But yeah, I would definitely say that it's not for everyone, that you have to take care. You know, if you're taking any pills or medications, you cannot do it. If you don't have a clear objective of why you're doing it, then don't do it. Don't do it for fun. Just don't disrespect that.
Most people do it. Most people that I know do it to like connect with their inner self.
Yes.
But some people that I know, they told me that they've done it just because they were curious about the psychedelic effects,
Yeah.
which is something that, in the sense of like exploring your own mind,
Yeah.
it's also interesting to
valid,
an extent. Yes. What was your reason? Why did you do it?
I was back in 2014. I decided that I wanted to be happy.
Okay.
No matter what.
That's the
right?
best decision
Yeah.
anyone could take for themselves.
That's like
I decided I'm gonna be happy.
I planted a flag in my heart and say, I'm gonna be happy today with what I have. I don't care about anything else. And one of the things that I found was that I needed to find, why am I here? What is this? You know, why am I here? Why?
That's an illusion.
Right? Like, exactly.
Yeah,
Why am I here? What is this? What is my mission in this life? And it wasn't like I met this group of people who were doing sound healing, which ancient Indian music, which was beautiful meditations, guided meditations, and these same people said, oh, we also do these, you know, ayahuasca as part of healing. And I was like, and how's that? And I started asking, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. But they were the same who told me, you need to approach it with reverence. And my purpose was to find meaning for my life.
What's the benefit that you got from that experience?
That's a good one. Okay. There's many benefits in terms of the messages or the images that you get. You need to process them with a therapist. It's my recommendation, because it's in oniric, you know, language. It's like the language of your dreams, right? So nothing is exactly like literal.
Yes.
So you
need to interpret it.
Yes. So you better go through that with someone that knows you, or within a therapeutic process where you can use these images to actually convey a message that's meaningful to you, and that can lead to actions, right? Actions that help you heal. Because if that's the purpose of the plant, is to help you heal. Some people do it for a spiritual connection, but because they come from the Andean or the Amazonic tradition, and they have a different set of values than mine, for example. So I didn't took it as a spiritual connection. It was more like, okay, this is medicine. Okay. This is going to help me. It did help me connect to me in a very deep level. It's like, I would say it's probably a shortcut to 5 years of meditation.
Oh, wow. That's intense.
It is intense. That's why you need to be prepared with meditations before and the proper diet, so you can have the proper experience, right? But it's hard. You need to hold a meditation for like 6 or 7 hours. So you need to be strong in your body and your mind to be able to see that.
I have no idea how that feels whenever I do I do meditate. I used to do it every morning. Now I do it like once a week probably, but it's hard to meditate for like more than, I don't know, 15-20 minutes for me.
For you.
We got a question from Marco Lapini.
Oh, hi Marco.
He says, good morning, Ramon and Veronica. Nice topic as usual, Veronica. What do you think about music in 528 Hertz frequency?
Oh,
that's a great question.
Yeah,
thanks, Marco.
Okay, thanks, Marco. Look, I'm not sure about.
Can you talk a little bit closer to the mic?
I'm not sure about the frequency, the right frequency, but I did use for the book that I'm producing. I did use a video version of the book that I use the 432 hertz as a background music. And so it has this chilling effect. When you see it, it's like, you know, you kind of get relaxed and you relax, and it's very wide, you know, it's very slow movement. So it also addresses the senses in terms of like being calm, be quiet. So I totally have felt the experience of being healed by music, of being calmed by music, either with the Andean music that I told you, that these meditation sessions
Yes.
with ancient music, or the quartz, the concert of quartz.
No, I
have you
don't know
have you
that.
heard of that one? Okay.
What is it?
That's another way, and that I think it's on that frequency that Marcus is saying, or there is a bowl quartz.
Okay. Can we look it up?
Yeah,
Chan?
several bowl quartz that people do in like a meditation session where they
Quartz singing bowls?
yes, the bowls is like a bowl, like a
Okay.
Tibetan bowl but made out of quartz.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so
Because
they
the normal Tibetan singing bowls are made of
metal.
Yes.
Yes, which is also great because they produce a different effect on the body.
Okay.
But
Different vibration.
different vibration, yes. But the quartz are designed to kind of the second one there. It's designed to also clear, the body from blockages.
Okay.
Because there are some things that are not easy to access from the conscious mind, right? The conscious mind doesn't know everything that happens on the unconscious mind.
Of course not. Yeah.
And your body stores emotions that are not processed. Again, back to the book,
Yeah.
if you process emotions, then your body flows and then you're calmer, you're happier, you can live a better life, right? So that those sort of instruments produce those frequencies where you can actually relax and cleanse whatever is it that you are not being able to access. So
That's
it's another way of meditation.
fascinating. I don't know. I know nothing about it. I would probably make a salad in one of those things. That's how much I know about it.
Well, that's all the beautiful alternative healings and shamanic
Ooh, and they light up.
universe. Yes, that you can.
So
that
that
I
you can
learned
mix it
in
with
Peru.
chromotherapy as well.
Yes, exactly. So I've learned that in Peru as well. So it's a land of
Do
healing.
you practice this?
No,
Okay.
I don't know how to do it, but I have been a patient
Okay.
of that.
Fantastic. And how all of this connects with the stars?
It's a wonderful question. Okay, so the way to the stars. Okay, I started learning about astrology again in 2014 when I started asking myself, why am I here? What is this body? Why am I my mom and my dad's daughter or whatever? Why was I born in Venezuela? So I turned to Mayan astrology first.
Okay.
That's
I don't know much about
That's
it.
another type of astrology that, again, I learned in Peru through a teacher, a Mayan
I think it was a
astrology
little
teacher.
bit more scientific back then in a certain sense.
Yes, of course. It's
Yeah.
based on observation. Think about 5,000 years ago,
Yeah.
how would people living on Earth understand the cycles of the Earth? By looking at the stars.
Yeah, observation,
right?
yes.
Observation. So they observed, they took notes. When this planet does this, then this happens. When this planet does that, it happens. So it's like scientific method, right? So
In a way.
in
yeah.
a way, it's
Well, I mean,
observing.
for the technology and the knowledge that they had at that time, yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely, of course. And it's probably the birth of astronomy as we know it today was astrology, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. At that time in time, I think astronomy and astrology were actually the same
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got a question from Desio Olio. Hi, Veronica. What is
Hi.
something you only learned about yourself after the experience with the shaman?
Oh, that's a super good question.
What is something that I learned about myself after the experience?
that you
with the
didn't
shaman?
know before?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a great question. So then we'll go back to the stars.
Yes.
So let's go back
Yes,
to this
yes.
one. What I did learn about myself is that I could see myself in different experiences that were not from this life. Okay?
Okay.
So, or at least it didn't feel it was an experience from this life.
So from like a previous life of
Yes,
yours, or from
yes.
lives from like other people that
No,
you could connect to?
My life.
Okay.
That's what I choose to believe, right? Anyone
course.
can say,
Yeah, can interpret their
can
own way.
interpret
Yes.
different, but he's asking, why did I learn about that? I learned, so therefore, that was my entering point to, wait, so I have been here more than once. So then I started looking to, I guess, theologies or people that could explain that to me in a way that I understood. And that's when I found meditation and the Buddha. And that's
Okay.
why I turned into.
What kind of Buddhism do you like?
I started practicing
practice?
Dzogchen Buddhism.
Okay.
That's the one. The Sonya Rinpoche is the head of that, and it's the Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah.
Okay, what's the difference with the other Buddhism?
Oh, okay. I tried first the Order of the Diamond. I didn't connect to their Lama, which is like their leader,
Yes.
and I connected to Sonya Rinpoche and the Lama, the Dalai Lama, and that's why I followed. But main difference are like the teachings of the Buddha were received by many, and once he passed away, I guess his best students took their own knowledge
Interpretation and
and developed their orders,
their own way, yes.
right? And so that's how it branched. I'm not a knowledgeable person in the story of Buddhism, but I know that's what happened.
So how do you think all of these students that then they eventually became the leader of each different
Branches.
branch? Yeah. How do you think a leader of a different branch plays like how important is for you to follow a spiritual leader compared to finding your own way without the need for a guidance?
That's a beautiful question. Thank you. Because I have been through that a lot. Like when I started that journey of self-discovery, I was very reluctant to find someone else's path. I'm very stubborn and I'm very practical and I like to experience everything myself. Right?
Yes, I'm sort of the same.
Yeah, so
I like to confront myself, like to try to get as many options as possible and to ask people. But in the end, I don't want to follow anybody. I want to ask everyone and then take my decision.
I know, and that's something that I did for a long time, until I felt, and it was a feeling, a knowing, that if I wanted to follow a path of liberation, which is the ultimate goal of people who are very keen on spirituality, which is to not reincarnate anymore and to be free from suffering, is to follow the way of the guru. So the theory is that someone that has already achieved that level of enlightenment and it's still alive can help you as a door to get there faster, right?
Absolutely.
Like by devotion, by practicing. So that's why I decided to pick a guru, because I thought, well, I do want to get there, so I'll just be humble.
What makes a guru a guru?
That's a good question. I don't know. We have to ask them. I guess they so-call themselves guru because they have attained this level of freedom. Like there are several that I have followed that have given me incredible
I need to get
joy.
one on the show.
Yeah. Oh, I hope you do. So I started following one that was born in Brazil, whose name is Sri Prembaba. Then I follow Muji Baba, who's Jamaican. And then I follow Sonya Rinpoche, who is Tibetan. And lately I've been following Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, which is from India. So there's different traditions. You get all something from them. But at the end you have to pick one because you might get confused.
Okay. Can you get? I think this connects to another topic that was discussing on a previous podcast. The same way I believe that you can love multiple people. Can you equally follow multiple gurus?
Well, that's a good question.
Like take whatever you like best from each one of them. And that applies to religions as well. For like, I'm not religious, but for religious people that have a practical interpretation of religion, I have a few friends who actually, they're not Christian, but they follow some teaching from Christianity, but at the same time they follow something else from like Muslim religion and different. So
my opinion, and it is only my opinion, is that you are the master of your own life. And what the guru recommends is to follow one, because you pick a, it's like you were trying to get to a place with 1 foot in one boat and 1 foot in the other boat. Like it's at some point you're like, oh my God, which one I take, right? That's what they recommend. And they've been on this path a lot longer than we have, at least myself. So yes, I think for me, I am coming to that point in my spiritual journey when I need to pick one,
Okay.
right? Because I feel I am investing too much energy, like the energy that I have, and this is time, effort, and all that. I don't want to be dispersed in many things. I just want to pick one and just follow through.
So
And
it sounds like you're looking for like an answer, like, and somebody that can give you the answers that you need.
more like the experience that I need.
Okay.
Right? Like to be able to see through his or her experience and reflect that experience in my life and say, oh, how can I experience that?
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Beautiful. So going back to the stars.
Yes, let's go back to that. That's one of my favorites.
How? Where were we?
We were saying how do I connect it to the stars? Like, how do I begin learning about it? So I told you about the
Maya.
Mayan calendar because, for me, astrology is another tool of self-discovery.
Okay.
So it's, how an archetype can sometimes give you information about you. And it's basically from marketing, it's just segmenting, right?
Yes.
We're segmenting the population into these sort of
It's labeling,
archetypes.
yes.
Yeah, we're going to, and some of that might work, some of that might won't. But you could relate to a group of people that feel and think kind of like the same way you do or might struggle in the same way you do.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, reassuring. So that's one thing first from astrology. It's like, it's a tool for self-discovery. It's a way of connecting to like-minded people, right? That kind of feel, and you're like, so let's say Gemini energy has problem with commitment. Oh my God, I can feel that. I'm like that, right? Or Taurus people like to eat a lot. Oh my God, I can feel that. That's true, right? So you feel connected. You feel like, there's someone who gets me. So for me, that was a way of discovering myself. And then I started studying the traditional astrology. The Mayan one was the first one that I encountered and the one that I started studying. But after a few years, I realized that there was not much people talking about it, and it was not a lot of literature about it, and I wanted to learn deeper. So I turned to traditional astrology, and I started studying traditional astrology in a current that's called, or a style that's called humanistic astrology.
Okay.
And that is use astrology to, again, heal yourself, understand your pathway in this life, and use your abilities that are written in the chart to integrate them and have a happier life. Like, there's no good planet, bad planet, good energy, bad energy, none of that.
Okay.
It's just what it is. And there's no prediction. I also don't know about prediction. I don't use prediction. I don't believe in prediction.
Yeah, no,
I just say, okay, look, you have this and that in your chart that might refer to this or that. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, how can we use that? Okay, then let's say, park the chart and work on the person's problem. It's not that.
I like this approach
Yeah.
because I don't strictly. Okay, I don't believe in astrology, but I do find that there are a lot of interesting facts about it that deserve curiosity at least. So I've studied a lot of I've studied a fair bit about astrology, and I could not find an answer on like what that means, but it's still fascinating how to, because I think the majority of the astrology that like it's popularized, it takes advantage of the Forer effect. So like telling information that could adapt and anyone could relate to, basically. So it works for everyone, so everyone believes in it. But
it could be manipulated.
Yes.
And I can tell you that for a tip for that is, like, for example, when you read a horoscope and you say Taurus from this day to that, they are reading it from a perspective of the ascendant and not where the sun is located. And that doesn't mean that it relates to you 100%. So for a proper reading, you actually need to see the whole chart.
Yes,
and to understand
ascendant sign and
everything.
the moon and all of that.
So it's not like, I'm just going to read my horoscope and it's going to tell me I'm going to find love tomorrow. It doesn't really work that way. Although at some point I wished it would, right? Like, I wish someone would tell me what to do and how to fix my life. That's what we're all looking for, right? At some point, right?
At some point.
At some point, when we need the guidance.
So how does a natal chart work? Like, what kind of information can you find from that?
Oh, okay, great. So first you need to know where you were born, what time were you born, right? The city, the time, the day, the year, right? All that. And so you put it in a software. That's many places you can do it for free now.
Yeah.
And it will show you where the moon was when you were born, where the sun was, and where the personal planet, social planet, and transpersonal planets are.
Okay.
So that has information about how you as an individual work as a system. Like each planet represents a part of you. For example, Mercury represents communication, Venus represents desire, Mars represents action, the moon represents your emotional needs, the sun, the way you express. So you find that, and they are located in specific houses, right? The horoscope is divided in 12 signs.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah? So each sign or house has it's a different area of experience in life. So for example, the house 3 is a house of the mind, of the siblings, of the short trips, of the house of that is reigned by Mercury.
Gemini? Oh.
Gemini, exactly. That's the third house. Yeah, you're good, you know.
No, I just remember a few things from anime.
That's good, you know. That's how you start looking at it, and you start, and by talking to the person, you understand the level of understanding that they have, or let's say the level of development that they have with the energy that they're working. For example, most of us, most humans, are born with the moon and specific characteristic of the moon. And it takes us about 36 to 37 years to get away of that moon and start becoming our sun and start living our ascendant. So it is a long process, right? So if for example, if you're 25 and you read a horoscope and you have your sun in Pisces, you're like, oh, I'm such a Pisces. But it turns out that you're actually living from your moon energy because you're still too young to start living with your sun, right? So it doesn't mean that everybody has the same pattern, but it's very likely that when you're 25, you're not fully grown, right?
Yeah.
So it's very likely that you're still living your moon energy. And that's how it works in general, because it's such a long topic, such a deep topic. Yeah.
What's your sign?
Oh, my sun is in Taurus, my ascendant is a Gemini, and my moon is in Scorpio.
Oh, it's a nice mix.
It is a very complex
and you
mix,
get like earth and water.
Yes.
And air.
And air. And the fire, I have a few things on the fire thing that has, like, actually my chart is very balanced. Like I have the 4 elements. The one that I have most is water.
Water. Mine is not. Mine is like earth, earth, earth.
That's good. That's why you're pragmatical, right?
I think so. I guess. Some people think I'm very rational. Some people think I'm totally crazy. So it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I think you're fantastic.
Thanks. Okay. How do you take advantage of the information that you gather from astrology?
Okay.
Like, what's the best use of it?
Okay. As in for me or in general in life?
For anyone.
For anyone. Okay. I would say that if you learn to understand the emotional patterns that you use to make you feel safe, and you understand that sometimes those patterns are not for your sake, are not for your good sake, and they are just there to be evolved, then that's the best advice I can give to someone. Like, short and straight to the point. Like, look at your moon. If it's tense, if it's in a position that is actually not working for you, just work on the patterns that you need to integrate in your life, so that becomes a strength and not a point of fallback, right? So I'll give you an example. For example, my moon is in Scorpio, right? So that in the book says that I have a tendency to be a drama queen, to suffer too much, to attach to feelings too much, to be on a constant drama, to be possessive or that, right?
Yeah, that's such a Scorpio description.
It is, right? Yeah, it's a Scorpio description. Yeah. So, yeah, it turns out I am a bit of a drama queen. I have been a bit of a drama queen. So, and I was too attached to many things. But what I did when I understood that was the strength of that was that I get to feel more than the average human being, that I am very empathic, and that I can all sometimes feel what you are feeling, even if it's not my feeling, just because we have a connection. Then I thought, oh, then I might, I might use this for writing. I might use this for art. I might use this for something else. And then that becomes a strength. So because when that moon is integrated, then you are able to navigate strong and deep emotions with calm and ease. That's another, that's like the evolution of the Scorpio energy. It's like, oh, hate it. I can feel anything and I can process it and I won't be disturbed.
That's fantastic. So basically you acknowledge the negative aspects of your sign and you work out a way to transform the weakness into a strength.
Yes. That's also the other thing that I do, and let me just connect with the sort of therapy that I'm doing with the books and the coaching that I also do, is narrative therapy. That's the other thing that I put into the work that I do, which is I am doing that myself, right? Because I like to try everything myself before I try it in anyone else's. Change the narrative, change the story you say about yourself, and then you will change your life. So if you were born and saying, oh, she's such a drama queen, she cries too much, she's too sensitive, she's whatever, and I was like, wait, but how can that be an advantage? And so I'm going to change the story, right? So let's just take myself out of the picture and try and write a story where feeling too much is a superpower.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
That's a nice
trick. That's narrative therapy. Like, for example, I'll give you another example. I wonder where your moon is, so we can do that with you, right?
I'm a Capricorn, and
where's your moon? Do you know?
Moon is in Capricorn.
Is it? Okay,
yes.
That's why. Okay, so that's why you're work. You're very hardworking, and there's a lot of there's a tendency in that moon. I don't know where the house is because that also influences, but in general, that moon is people who are very responsible for themselves and others, and sometimes feel they have to be responsible for others, but they tend to annul their emotions so they can work. Or they can be responsible, they can be grown up since they were little kids. They could project themselves as, I am so like, I don't need anything, I'm so sorted out, I can do it all my own.
I think I was like as mature as I am today when I was 11. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I was mature when I was 11, I'm saying that I'm childish now. Yeah. Like
I love that.
But my ascending sign is Taurus.
Oh, that's beautiful sign. That's the best of all. No, I'm joking.
I don't know. I'm not happy with my Taurus, with my inner Taurus.
You will be. We can talk more about that outside the session if you want. But yeah, that's sort of the things that, for example, a moon in Capricorn needs to learn how to feel. And if you have your ascendant in Taurus, it's probably because you were meant to learn how to live your life through the senses, to enjoy life through your senses.
Yeah, I try to do that as much as possible.
Oh, without going to extremes, right? And so
I love extremes. Like I don't know. Like I'm generally like all or nothing kind of person.
That's
which most of the times leads to nothing because you cannot have it all. Well, sometimes you can, but most of the times you can't. Did you integrate astrology into the book?
No, it's No, it's something that is very specific to each person.
Yes.
So it's difficult to, but I have integrated astrology into my life and I'm bringing it to my personal brand.
Okay.
As in, for example, my logo, I'll show it later, but my logo.
Is it online?
No, not yet, but it'll be very soon. So my logo has a planet in it and it's Jupiter. And Jupiter is the giver, the guru, and it's also related to the teacher. So I really feel like what I want to do is teach, right? What I have learned either through coaching or through a book or through, putting together a program that I'm putting together to, help kids learn more about emotions. So I was like, okay, this is the energy that I want to project in life. Like I want to teach. So that's how I have integrated astrology in my life, I guess. I try and connect the imaginary of the archetype of the planet helps me in my connection with what I want to do, right? Like if I'm being too moody, then like, okay, I need to call my moon, right? So or if I feel sexy, I'm gonna call my Venus, right? If I feel drawn to action, okay, let's connect with Mars, right? So that sort of thing gives you, as an artist, as a writer, a lot of imaginary to work on the things that you want to put on, a sketch, I guess. So it's all about creation. It's all about creativity. And the more tools you have, the more you can get out, and the more feelings you can process, and the happier you are.
How do you process feelings? Like besides technology, besides astrology, processing feelings is something that you mentioned multiple times, and the importance of like experiencing our feelings.
Yes.
How do you process feelings without identifying with the feelings?
Oh, that's such a good... You're such wise, my friend.
Nah,
so
I'm
wise.
not.
That's the moon in Capricorn, showing all the wisdom that these people who are born in this moon have. You distance yourself from the feeling. That's actually hard work. And I have managed to do that through meditation. Because meditation gives you a space, even if it's for a fraction of a second, where when you feel something, you're provoked from something outside, right? Let's put an example. How do you process an emotion? Let's say there's someone who really ticks your buttons, right? And then that person comes and asks you something that you feel is like totally irrational. So you're like, oh, feeling anger. And you just want to answer back with something even worse, right? So meditation gives you this space of, oh my God, I'm feeling this, but what's the best for me to do? Okay.
It's like
I have a tool. Yeah, I have a tool. Can I get back to you in 5 minutes? Yeah, okay, good. And then you go and you can bang the door, scream, breathe, write, cry, and then you will get back to this person in a more calmer way, in a way that is detached to what you are feeling. So back to your question, how do you process a feeling or an emotion? You need to practice. Right? You need to practice, and you need to sit with your emotions. I strongly recommend to the people that I coach and work with, to when they are feeling overwhelmed, go back to the tools that we practice in our sessions, and it's just sit and feel. It's very hard in the beginning. It will be very hard, especially if the things that is pushing your buttons is related to something in the past that was very painful. Right? Or it was very annoying, or it was like, oh, this is so hard. But when you have the knowledge, and you have to imprint this in your brain that, okay, I am not my emotions. It is true that I feel them, but this is not who I am. Right? Then you can put a space in it and say, okay, who I want to be. I want to be kind. I want to be calm. I want to be peace. You call up on these virtues, and then you answer. But that process, for that to happen in an organized way, it takes a long time.
Yes.
So we need to be patient with ourselves in this process of learning about ourselves and how we react to everyday's life, so we can stop reacting and start acting, like to be the actor of your own life.
I think to me what puts me in the right mind space to deal with stress and anger and frustration is letting like blow off steam, mostly with sports.
Good.
If I skip like training for like even a day, but like if I skip 2 days, I just become like crazy nervous and very easy to upset.
Well, there is a really good book that I read recently. I can there's a lot of stuff in it, but it's called The System for the Soul Memory. And it speaks about ways in which you can deal with your emotions, right? And one of them is movement.
Yes.
So that's a very, typical way of doing. The other one is feeling them. So
I'm not a particular fan
of course, with
that.
the Capricorn energy, it's just like he's like, no, I don't want to feel. I just want to do, and that's okay. That's your way of dealing with it. But at some point,
I'm happy to feel, but I want to do at the same time.
That's good.
Like act on whatever your impulses are.
That's good. Unless, of course, if these actions are healthy for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's where the struggle starts.
Yeah, exactly. But that's you can feel the emotion by moving, or you can also feel the emotion and then desire. Like desire is another way to move an emotion, right? The desire of feeling peaceful. So let's say you're sad. right? So you feel the sadness, and then you start thinking about how do I really want to feel? I want to feel happy. Okay, so let me bring an image that's something that makes me feel happy. Oh, the sea. Oh, my pet. Oh, my family. And then you start being thankful for that. And then something inside moves and starts shifting towards that. That's like normal process, but there are some of us who had to have help with that. Like, I'm not saying it's relatively easy to do if you're a healthy person, but some people have to go through, therapy, medication, or other sort of processes to be able to feel. That's how, because traumas disconnect us from feeling, especially at a young age, right?
Yes.
We record an emotion as intense as it was when we were a child, and we didn't have this consciousness, right? And the funny thing about the mind, how it works, is that maybe you remember something, but that's not what happened. When you ask your parent, it's like, that's not what happened. And it's like, but that's what I remember. That's what your brain remembered. And because of that, it's how you feel. But that's not exactly what happened. And so that's because the only way is to getting to know yourself and know your process. Right?
When you work on yourself and try to get to know yourself better, you very often come up with memories, and rediscovering traumas is something that can deeply change who you are, I think.
Yes.
How do you deal with past traumas? Like when you when you just remember something negative that happened to you and you realize, oh, I've been acting this way for the past 20 years because of this very single event that happened 20 years ago.
Okay. Well, I've dealt with that in therapy. I recommend people to go to therapy. It's like going to a gym.
In
right?
a way.
In a
yes.
way. It's like the gym for the soul, for the mind. So the way I have dealt with it, first, even though I could have been scared of remembering something, the first thing I recommend is be grateful.
Yes.
Because that's the first step to healing, just acknowledging where you're at. Like, okay, I'm here. Oh, this hurts. But now I can move forward. So once you remember that memory, you can do a lot of things to heal that. You can go to that in a meditation. You can go to that memory and resignify that moment. You can also do in the present, write a letter to such and such who did hurt to you, or whatever you remember was hurtful. Burn the letter. There are a lot of magical acts that you can do on the present day to heal that past trauma. And by a miracle, the mind is so wonderful that you'll feel better once you go. That's why time is relative, right?
Yeah, I don't think time even exists.
Hey,
But yeah, it's
that's
perception.
you're very wise.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying bullshit.
There's a lot of people who says that, so don't worry.
Okay. Is there any other comment or question from anyone?
No, not at the moment. I got a question.
Yes, Chan.
What are your thoughts on attachment and how that leads to suffering?
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay, so learning to detach is the hardest thing that I had learned to do. And yes, in the theory of the teachings of the Buddha, the Four Noble Principles are the ones that are the basis of the teachings of the Buddha, right? So one of them is understanding suffering, and I'm not going to go through that, but the second is understanding the nature of desire. And desire, it is what it is. You desire something. You get something, and then it fades, the happiness fades, and you want something else. So
Yes.
either you attach to something or you reject something. Either or generates karma, right? So that means generate a reaction. So you attach to something, it generates a reaction. I don't want this, generates a reaction,
Okay.
right? So the more detached you are, I guess, to whatever happens in your life, the less suffering you will have. For example,
But you experience less.
not necessarily, just that you experience with a lesser degree of expectations.
Okay.
For
so
example.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
let me
that's a
just give you an
different story.
example. I met Francesco. Francesco is so great. I want him to be my friend. So it turns out he doesn't want to be my friend. Well, that's okay. I can deal with that.
We can be friends.
Yeah, good. But I'm just putting an example.
Yes.
Like, if I get too attached to, oh, I really want to do that podcast because that means that my career will, skyrocket because Francesco is so famous and I really want to be with him. Then I'll just, keep on. I'm not going to sleep. When is Francesco going to call? When is he going to call? Like, gives me anxiety. And it's like, whereas if I say, okay, and this is when faith, for me at least, becomes, a tool for detachment. It's like, I cannot control Francesco's will. If he calls me, is faith. If he doesn't, is faith. That's destiny, right? Like,
Yes.
whatever you want to call it. Like, I'll have the conviction
a little bit fatalistic, but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But it's like, whatever happens, it was meant to happen. And this is life as it is, which is the basis of, Buddhism, accepting life as it is. And I'm just going to deal with the feelings that arises from the situation, right? So to your question, the detachment, it's learning to, I guess, let go, which is such a hard thing to do, to whatever you're feeling that you feel it should be yours by birthright or whatever. But I guess the hardest thing that I have to detach from was my brother passed away only 6 months ago.
Okay.
And
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. And he was a strong meditator, vipassana meditator. The book that I'm doing is dedicated to him, to his memory as well. And, detaching from the fact that he's not in this plane anymore has been the hardest thing that I am doing, because I'm not over that, right? But it has been experiencing detachment for real. It's not more that I am reading in the scriptures and I'm practicing, such and such doesn't want to go out with me. I'm going to detach. That's easier, right? When someone you deeply love dies, that's when the real test comes.
Yes.
And so thanks to the tools that I have had through meditation and through the teachings that I have learned through Buddhism, I have been able to deal with that suffering in a best way. Because it's not that I don't feel pain, but I don't attach to the pain. Like, I feel it, I just let it flow. And sometimes I spend 2 weeks in pain. But I know, because all things change, which is the other principle, one of the other 4 principles is impermanence, like everything changes.
Yes.
I know
that applies to everything in the universe.
I won't feel this forever. I know that it will pass. And then you learn to detach. But
Absolutely.
it's not easy.
That's the same. I know. That's the same same thing that I learned to overcome depression. Like, I know that it comes like in waves, and I know, like, okay, I know that it's gonna go away.
Exactly.
Why don't I just think about that?
Yes.
Like, and just feeling it makes you feel better already.
Look, about depression, and this is just a quick one. I went through depression as well in 2010 when I went through a divorce. And I remember I found a book in the library. I don't remember the name of this Australian writer that he wrote that he was depressed for 8 years. And what kept him, it's a long time. And what kept him going was faith. Faith in that he was going to get out of that. So the mindset of, okay, I feel this, but I know, there's a knowing in my head.
That's not the knowing is what saves you, I think.
Yes.
Like, but you need to want to change as a first step.
Yes.
Like, you need to decide. The way I manage with things is that I make a decision before I know anything about it. Like, okay, I know that I'm gonna be happy, then I'm happy.
Good.
It sounds simplistic, but it's like
it's a decision.
Actually, yeah, it's as easy as it should be. Like,
it's a decision. It's a mental decision. You start with the mind, right? Like, but you're so right. You're very wise.
Stop saying that, please.
How many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh, I don't know.
One, but the light bulb has to want to change.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Thank you. That's
and
great.
On that note, I think we can say thank you very much.
Thank you much, Francesco.
I really liked talking to you, and we should do this again once the
book is out.
Yes,
because I want to I want to sing the song with people here, and because I wrote and composed the song myself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'll show it to you afterwards, and we'll keep it a bit of a mystery. I'm hoping it'll be the campaign. I'm planning to release it on for the pre-sales in the beginning of April, the first 15 days of April. Maybe we can meet again for that.
Yes,
and we'll have
absolutely.
fun with the music and
Fantastic.
and see how that goes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you so
good
much.
night to everyone that
Thank
was
you. Bye.
listening.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Francesco. But it's true, you